Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is December 20th, and it is Saturday. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful weekend so far. I myself am doing pretty all right. We did a TikTok live earlier where we played some Minecraft, and if that's something you're interested in, go check out my TikTok, Bray's newsletter. I'm going to be streaming Minecraft and a few other games, maybe. I found out how to do it, and I'm very excited to do that going forward. I really enjoyed streaming Minecraft today, so if that's something you're interested in, go check that out. With that being said, though, hopefully all you guys are doing well. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month, and all funds go to me. It helps me pay for other things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, like my clothing, and all the other bills that I need to pay for. But with that being said, let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Epstein files segment, as that's where a bulk of the news has been over the past 2 days. The first topic we have today is the Department of Justice has deleted one of the only Trump photos within the Epstein files, essentially removing all of the traces of Trump. The Department of Justice has deleted one of the only pictures within the Epstein files containing images of Trump. This picture showed a bunch of framed photos with Epstein and other powerful world leaders like the Pope, many other famous people, but also had a few pictures containing Trump within it. Now, these images aren't new. They are all images that we have seen across the internet before, yet that photo has now been removed from the website. Previously, the photo was listed on the site as EFTA000468. We saw it yesterday on the TikTok Live, of course, as we went through the released photos. But now, if you go to the Department of Justice website where they have released these photos, it is nowhere to be seen and has been removed in its entirety. If this isn't another sign that they're trying to cover up Trump's involvement in the Epstein files, I don't know what is. The pictures in this image weren't new. It's things that we've seen on the internet before, time and time again. Not to mention, there were also the only traces of Trump within these files, which is a massive deal. I mean, those were the only photos of Trump within the files when they were released, when we know he is already in them. That is suspicious in its own regard on so many levels that these were the only photos within the files. As a whole, it is very clear that they are trying to cover up things related to Trump. And that's not something that should be excused. We need to keep calling this out. We need to keep asking, where are the things related to Trump? Because there is very little information within the Epstein files that is available now related to Trump. And I mean very, very little. And it's really, really interesting because even people within his own administration have said that he is out and throughout the files. I mean, Pam Bondi said it herself that he is within the Epstein files. Something here is really fishy, truly. And it is very clear that they are protecting Trump from everything that he is in. In other news, 16 other things have been removed from the DOJ website that released the Epstein files. A new report from NPR has come out confirming that the DOJ did in fact remove some of the Epstein files that they released on Friday, including the images that showed Trump that we just talked about. But they also released files showing various art pieces and some containing nudity. The website is now requesting people to report any files that they believe should not have been posted. A statement on the website reads, "In view of the congressional deadline, all responsible efforts have been made to review and redact personal information pertaining to victims and other private individuals and protect sensitive materials from disclosure. Because of the volume of information involved, this website may nevertheless contain information that inadvertently includes non-public personally identifiable information or other sensitive content, to include matters of a sexual nature." So this, of course, just confirms that what we just talked about, but it also shows that they have pulled a lot more information off of it, which is a big deal. It really is. I mean, this information came out, and they chalked it up to, hey, this probably shouldn't be out, so we're gonna pull this away. Within the files, we did see a lot of things that probably should have been redacted. One that I remember like very frequently that we did see was this painting of a girl. In the photo that they took where the painting is being taken place, they did redact it, but then you can see the actual painting of the girl, in a mirror on the side of the photo. So they didn't even actually redact it, if you will. which is a very interesting thing. I mean, there were mistakes littered throughout the Epstein files where things probably should have been redacted and weren't. And then there are likely a bunch of things that were redacted that, I mean, probably shouldn't have been redacted. They said that they were only going to redact things related to protecting victims, and that simply has not been the case. Trump is not a private individual. The president is not a private individual. He cannot be protected. He is a public individual, and anything related to him, he can be blamed for and can be called out for. Nor is he a victim, so he should not be protected from this in the slightest. The man needs to be removed from office and sent to prison, as do the people who are withholding the information of him within the files. I mean, they need to be prosecuted as well as soon as possible, because we shouldn't allow people like this to just blatantly refuse to release information that we so clearly know exists. I mean, they are literally pulling information from Trump. Like this picture of Trump, or these pictures of Trump, were released and they pulled them away. If that's not suspicious to you, if that is not a red flag to you or a sign that they are holding information related to Trump, you gotta wake up, bro. You truly do. In other news, the Department of Justice has released even more Epstein files. The Department of Justice has released more files related to Jeffrey Epstein, not as much as Friday, but more has come out. The new documents released include grand jury materials from Epstein's investigations in the state of Florida and New York, including things like grand jury transcripts and interviews with witnesses and investigators. This release also had an extreme amount of redactions, like all of the releases we saw previously, but also it redacted things like the identity of prosecutors, FBI case agents, and other personnel who appeared before the grand jury, things that they didn't say that they were going to redact. This is cool and all, but again, where are the files related to Trump? Clearly, that information exists if we're taking images away from the Epstein files. So, what is being hidden? That's something that we need to know as soon as possible. It is very clear Trump was within these files. Sure, all this information is great. Keep releasing it. Keep making it come out. Of course, it's not easy to go through because all of it is redacted. I mean, if you go look at the Epstein files, if you go look at the court records, if you go look at these documents, a lot of it is just redacted. But this stuff still needs to come out. It should not be redacted as redacted as it should. I don't think anyone expected it to be this redacted. And it is very, very alarming that it is, and really says a lot that it is. But something needs to be done about that as soon as possible, because we can't just be doing this. They're not helping their own case here. They're making themselves look more suspicious, if I could say that word. In other news, Bill Clinton has also now made a statement saying that he's being used as a scapegoat, which is really interesting. A spokesperson for Bill Clinton has accused the Trump administration of using him as a scapegoat after pictures were released of him with Epstein and around victims. The spokesperson, Angel Urena, said in a post on Twitter, "The White House hasn't been hiding these files for months, only to dump them late on a Friday to protect Bill Clinton. This is about shielding themselves from what comes next, or from what they'll try to hide forever, so they can release as many 20-plus-year grainy old photos as they want. But this isn't about Bill Clinton. Never was, never will be. Even Susie Wiles says Donald Trump was wrong about Bill Clinton. There are two types of people here. The first group of people knew nothing and cut Epstein before his crimes came to light. The second group continued their relationship with him after. We're in the first. No amounts of stalling by people in the second group will change that. Everyone, especially MAGA, expects answers, not scapegoats." I'm going to start this off by saying I don't think Bill Clinton was a scapegoat in the slightest. There are far too many pictures and things that prove that he is connected and related to Epstein, and definitely knew about what was going on. I mean, we literally saw the pictures of the man in a hot tub with victims, not to mention all of his other history and scandals related to sexual occurrences. The man has his own problems, and he is very clearly related and knew about what was going on. He, in one way or another, was possibly involved. I'm not going to rule that out. I for sure think that was a possible case, and probably was the case, which is a big deal. And he should be investigated for that, and prosecuted for it, and sent to prison for it, just like everyone else. But also, it is very likely that the Trump administration and the White House is using his involvement to downplay Trump's involvement within the Epstein files. In fact, I would say there's a 99.9% chance that's the case. The lack of photos of Trump from within these files is alarming, and it's wild that is the case. especially with the fact that they've pulled more photos of Trump out of the Epstein files. Like, both presidents are within the files. That's just the fact of the matter. Both of these presidents are within the Epstein files, and both of these presidents should go to jail for their involvement within the Epstein files. Anyways, moving on into our Trump administration segment, where we have one really interesting topic here today, as True Social has merged with a nuclear fusion firm. The parent company for Trump's personal social media platform, Truth Social, has merged with a nuclear fusion power company. Trump Media and Technology announced the merger on Thursday with TAE Technologies, and it is said to now be valued at more than $6 billion. The company now claims that they're planning to find a site to start the construction of the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant that will look to provide electricity needed for AI. So, why does a social media company need to team up with a nuclear energy company? That, let alone the president's personal social media platform. But, like, there's no reason why a social media platform in the first place should be doing that. Something there seems a little odd. Just like the fact that we just had an MIT professor who was studying this same technology die last week. It's maybe that's not connected, but maybe it is. I've seen a lot of theories about that online, and I don't know how 100% true that is, but the timing of it surely is really, really odd. In what other world does True Social need to do something with nuclear power or need to be related to nuclear power? None. There is no world where that should be the case. Which is why it makes you wonder what is really going on here. Why are they doing this? Because there's no reason for them to be doing this in the first place. Trump has no connection to AI, really. He has no connection to, nuclear energy. So what's going on here? Is this an investment? Is this, trying to get into the next big thing? We've seen Trump do that in the past with cryptocurrency and all of his crypto scams. So what is this? Like, what is the point of this? Why are we doing this? What is going on here? That's the question that needs to be asked. Because it's really alarming that the president is, or the president's social media company, for that matter, is teaming up with, nuclear energy, working to make advancements in AI. I think something about that is really, really odd. Josh Johnson has just entered the game for the Commanders. Just got that NFL notification. That can't be good. I wonder if they had an injury. Oh well, I'm not watching the game. Anyways, moving on into our other news segment, the next topic we have today is Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie have begun articles of impeachment against Pam Bondi. Democratic Representative Ro Khanna and Republican Representative Thomas Massie are drafting articles of impeachment against Pam Bondi for the Department of Justice refusal to release all of the Epstein files. Khanna said on CNN that he and Massie are also considering if Bondi should be held in contempt due to this, but they said that they plan to see if the Justice Department will comply first within the next few weeks. He warns of other Justice Department officials also facing consequences if they played a role in stopping the full release of the files. Why are they going to wait and see if they're going to comply with the law? That is a joke. You have to be kidding me. The deadline was yesterday. There's no changing that. The deadline was yesterday. No wonder why the Democratic Party is never going to be successful. This has to be the dumbest party ever to exist in the history of political parties. I mean, they want to wait and see if an administration who has refused to follow the law time and time again. I mean, the Trump administration has blatantly ignored the law again and again and again. They want to wait and see if they'll follow it. You have to be kidding me. That is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. The political leaders in this country have less spine than an invertebrate, and it is honestly laughable, especially the political leaders within the Democratic Party. That entire party needs to step down and be completely start over. Like, that party needs an entire clean state if this is what we are doing. It is a joke that we are waiting for an administration who continues to defy the law, to follow the law. They should be prosecuted right now. We shouldn't be waiting weeks. We should be doing this right now. Yet we're not. And that is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. What are we doing? Get your head out of your ass and do some work. Work for the American people for once, rather than serving the elites or serving corporate interests. Do some work for the American people and prosecute people who are creepy and who are touching children. Like, It should not be hard to do that. It really should not be hard to do that. And I know if we had a Democratic president right now, the Epstein files probably would not be out, and this probably would not be a conversation we are having. But now that they are out, and the fact that they are still refusing to release these files in full, the fact that they are still refusing to release information, and the fact that we have seen no information, essentially no information related to Donald Trump within these files, is a massive deal. And it is proof that they are protecting Donald Trump. And if people aren't going to be prosecuted for that by the Democratic Party or by those within office, something needs to be done to remove those people from office. Because it is very, very clear that they do not care about the American people, and they have no interest in protecting or supporting the American people or the victims from these files. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, the United States has seized a Panamanian oil tanker off of the coast of Venezuela. U.S. forces have seized another oil tanker off of the coast of Venezuela, according to new reports from AP. This is the second oil tanker that has been seized within the last 2 weeks, this one originating from Panama. This action was confirmed by Kristi Noem on Twitter, where she posted an unclassified video of personnel landing on the vessel known as Sentries. In her post, she wrote, "In pre-dawn action early this morning on December 20th, the U.S. Coast Guard, with support of the Department of War, apprehended an oil tanker that was docked in Venezuela. The United States will continue to pursue the illicit movement of sanctioned oil that is used to fund narco-terrorism in the region. We will find you and we will stop you." I'm sure this is going to continue to happen to oil tankers throughout the Caribbean, especially if they're docking within Venezuela. And it's going to be a continued escalation of the conflict. A war is bound to happen eventually. I just don't see that any other way, especially with how much escalation we continue to see on a day-to-day basis. And it's a conflict based on oil as well. I mean, Trump has confirmed that himself. What we are witnessing is an expansion of American imperialism at its finest, something we see time and time again, really with every recent conflict in America these days. And something should be done about it. Unfortunately, with how geopolitics roll, that just isn't going to be the case. The United States is going to be allowed to do whatever they wish. But that shouldn't be the case. Something should be done to stop the United States from this, because we shouldn't just be targeting countries because we want control of them. We want, influence over them, or we want influence over their oil. Like, Venezuela is a country that we have not had any influence over for decades, and they've been fine. Sure, they've got their own issues, but that's none of our business. They are a country that is completely separate from the United States in so many ways. And the Trump administration is trying to do this conflict so they can assert influence over Venezuela, something that we haven't needed before, and there's no reason for us to need it now. This is all about oil, this is all about control, and it is all about American imperialism. With that being said, though, thank you everyone for watching today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. It has definitely been a very interesting day in the news world, that is for sure. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated, as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. All funds go to me. It helps me for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, like my bills, like all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all from support on this content. With that being said, though, thank you everyone for watching so much. If you're interested, we're going to be streaming Minecraft tomorrow on TikTok Live. Go check that out. The TikTok is Bray's newsletter. Also, go check out all of my other social media platforms like Blue Sky, Substack, all those kinds of things. But with that being said, thank you everyone for watching today's episode, and I will see you all tomorrow in the next one.